Well, hello, my friend, and welcome back to another episode of Legacy Farmer, the podcast. This is your host, JC Young, and today's topic of discussion is this. It's what you don't see that will ruin you. So this morning on our community boardroom call, we were going over farmer metrics and really talking through some specific scenarios. And guys, you know, we've custom built farmer metrics. In the beginning and early days, I did everything inside Google Sheets and connected everything. And there's a bunch of formulas and, you know, obviously a bunch of back-end stuff. And now we've actually, over the past year, we've built it into our own proprietary software that our members use. And we're tracking every angle of their financial position. And we're really focusing on the key numbers that our members actually need to know that actually drive daily decisions. A lot of you guys, you know, your bankers will say, focus on ratios and debt to asset ratio and current ratio and blah, blah, blah. But with our software, we're focused on the numbers that our members can actually use that drive their decisions, that drive their financial decisions. Let's be honest, just because the bank is asking you, or say they have a certain debt to asset ratio they want you to be at, or debt to equity or asset to equity, whatever, you're not thinking about those ratios when you're making financial decisions. So we focus on the numbers that are actually key in making decisions. And what happens when we're able to do that is, with the way we have farmer metrics structured, we are preventing problems that are second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth order consequences down the line, right? So what do I mean by that? If you make a decision today, right? Some of you guys have made financial decisions in the past and you didn't feel the pain of those decisions, maybe for a year, maybe it was 2 years, maybe it was 4 years, maybe it was 10 years, all right? Some of you, it could be a long time. And the thing is that, man, what would it be like if we had a system and a software that would help us prevent from making that decision in the first place? Guys, this is why we focus just on a few key numbers inside of Legacy Farmer and inside of our software called Farmer Metrics, strictly because it's knowing those few key numbers that literally shift the financial decisions of our members inside of our program, right? And you think about that. Think how careless a lot of people are with their financial decisions, going and buying, you know, $500,000 worth of ground, or maybe it's $2 million worth of ground, and they're basing it solely on emotion, versus with our members, they're basing it solely off of numbers. They're going back to understanding and factoring in, you know, if I make this financial decision, how does it impact my borrowing power with the bank? All right, that's another question right there. Do you, listening to this podcast right now, understand or know what your borrowing power is with the bank? Do you understand what other key numbers the banks are looking at to make financial decisions? Do you know their game better than they do? Because if you don't, you're most likely not being treated fairly. You're most likely being taken advantage of in some way or another. And you feel about 2 inches small when you step into that office because you don't know how the person on the other end of that desk is playing the game, right? You don't know how the banks play the game. And this is a massive, massive gap for a lot of farmers and ranchers in today's industry, just because, guys, like, when you don't know how they're playing the game, when you don't know what they're thinking or how they're making decisions, you are exposing yourself to all of these potential problems that could happen. And it's just like something as simple as like a loan structure, for example. A lot of our members come in, their loans are structured completely the wrong way, and they're doing it in a way to where it doesn't work with their cash flow, it doesn't work with anything. So we have to go through and show them exactly how to get these loans restructured, how to tell their bank what they need to do, and how to show proof in the numbers. Not just restructuring because we say we need to restructure, showing proof in the numbers. And this is what's going to work with my cash flow. This is how things need to be structured. This is the interest rate that I should get. These are the assets that you have. This is the borrowing power that I have. You also have your safety net here. You see all these keys and these terms that I'm bringing into this podcast? These are the numbers. These are the key numbers that our members know on a day-to-day basis that help drive their financial decisions. All right. And I've tried to make farmer metrics dumbed down and simplified enough to where, you know, if a fifth grader opened it up, that they could understand what's going on with it. And these are very difficult concepts to get it, you know, down to that level. But at the end of the day, you know, simple is better, right? Simple provides us more clarity. Simple provides us, you know, faster decisions and more accurate decisions again, too. You know, not based off of emotion, based off of what the facts are telling us, based off of what the data is saying. And if you don't have those systems in place, the problem is that the decisions you're making today, or maybe last year or 2 years ago, yeah, the bank may have refinanced it or given you a short-term fix or whatever, but that long-term pain is coming, right? There's those second, third, and fourth order consequences that can arise from these decisions. And if we don't have the systems in place to make sure that we're making the right decision in the first place, you will inevitably have to face the problems that arise from those decisions. I don't care if it's 2 years from now. I don't care if it's 30 years from now, right? Some of you guys are working on your parents' operation, and they're still dealing with consequences from decisions that they made 20 years ago. Shoot, they may not even have their estate plan or legacy plan set up yet, and they're still struggling with decisions that they should have been making 40 years ago, right? But instead, they're still here. They're still dealing with this crap. Guys, inside a Legacy Farmer, we're proactive. Like I'm being straight with you. We are proactive. I do not want any of our members making careless financial decisions based off of emotion that they're ultimately going to pay the price for 5, 10, 15, 30 years from now. It's not acceptable, guys. And when you don't make the right financial decision off the get-go, you're setting the next generation up for failure. Again, I had a podcast that was a few weeks ago about one step forward, 20 years back. Right? You could have 1 year of farming, and in that 1 year, you could feel like you took a step forward, but you took the wrong step. You made some financial decisions that you shouldn't have, and now you're going to pay for them for the next 20 years. Well, 20, 30 or 40 years, guys, the next generation is going to be dealing with your problems. Right? So if you don't get your stuff figured out today, you don't get your numbers straight, you do not learn how the banks operate and how they make decisions and how you need to run their game for them and how you can make decisions and how you can remove all the emotion out of your financial daily decisions, you are ultimately going to you're only one bad decision away from ultimately setting the next generation up for failure. I mean, think about it that way. There's no small mistakes in the farm operation. We have to be on top of the numbers. And with a lot of our members, when they come in, being awakened to this stuff the first time, they realize how important even some of the small financial decisions they make. You know, it could be like going and buying a combine or buying a piece of ground for $1 million. For some of our members, you know, $1 million is nothing. Like that's not going to be a big deal. But we also want to factor in, like, what are the potential consequences from this? What do I not see that could come along down the line and ruin me? And that is where the software comes in. That's where our community boardroom discussions come in, because we are thinking about those things way on down the line. We're factoring in every scenario so that we can make sure, again, that we're making the right financial decisions and not only set up our generation for success, but we're making sure we're setting up our kids for success as well. Instead of doing what, unfortunately, 90% of family farms are doing today, which is passing on an operation that is completely disorganized, completely riddled with debt, and their kids are walking into a fire and they have no idea. They have absolutely no idea until it's going to get dumped in their lap and they're going to be like, shit, I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to make financial decisions. I don't know how to look at my numbers. I don't know how to use my numbers to make the right decisions. I just don't know. Right. And so, guys, there's a lot of different scenarios from this, you know, and that's what the benefit is of our community boardroom calls, is because, you know, one day we're discussing one member's financial decisions and how that's impacting them long term and what are some potential consequences that could come from this. The next week we're discussing somebody else's. So you're seeing multiple different perspectives and situations that help just build your overall knowledge and perspective so that you can, you know, we're just increasing the chances of making the right financial decisions going forward. So, my friend, that's all I got for you today's episode. I hope you found it valuable, but ultimately at the end of the day, there's one simple question you can ask inside of your operation or your business saying, okay, what do I not see right now that could ruin me? And it's honestly, if you just like park your truck or your tractor or your combine, wherever you listen to this at, park and just sit there for 5 minutes and look out the window and like really like think about this. What do I not see right now inside of my operation that could financially ruin me? And I guarantee you, if you really think about it, some things are going to be exposed and that's going to provoke some action on you. And hopefully you get some of these things solved and these problems solved before they turn into compounding consequences down the line for you and your family. So, my friends, that's all I got for you in today's episode. I hope you found it valuable, and we will catch you on the next episode.